Hey guys, welcome back to another video. My name is Caroline. I'm a second year medical student at Columbia Medical School, and happy 2024. Today is January 4th. Today is actually our transition ceremony, which is essentially kind of like a white coat ceremony, but instead of welcoming us to medical school, they are going to be welcoming us to the hospital where we will be for our clinical rotations for the next 12 months. It's pretty unbelievable how fast these past 1.5 years have gone, and it just feels like yesterday that I was taking my first picture on the steps in front of the VEC and going to white coat ceremony and even going to Portland and just doing my first standardized patient interview. Vlogging and documenting these parts of my experience have helped me to remember them more. Today, I wanted to share what I'll be up to for the next year in the hospital. But before then, I wanted to just take a quick moment to thank you all so much for watching and supporting and subscribing and liking and commenting and just for being here for me, because you make this channel, you make this experience so much fun. And I'm gonna be hoping to keep vlogging and keep making videos for this clinical year. I don't know if it'll slow down a little bit because we'll be in the hospital and there's gonna be a lot of stuff going on, but please let me know if there's anything in particular you want to hear about or you want to see, and I look forward to reading your guys' comments. As for what is currently going on, I am filming this on a Friday, and it's the early afternoon right before our ceremony, as I mentioned before, and it's also the Friday before we start rotation. So next Monday at 7 a.m. I will be in the hospital doing orientation for my first rotation. The past 2 days were orientation for clinical year in general, and here we call it MCY, or Major Clinical Year at Columbia. Basically what we did was we had an overview of what to expect. We practiced putting on PPE, we ultrasounded each other. We also had simulation center sessions to help prepare us for emergency situations and help us feel a little bit more ready when things are happening in the hospital and we don't really know where to go or what to do. It was really fun seeing everyone together after break, and tonight at the ceremony is going to be the last time that will be true for a while, because for MCY, we are actually split into smaller groups, and these groups rotate through the same order of rotations, and even within those groups, there's even smaller groups that rotate together at different locations affiliated with our school and the hospital. So for our school, the year is broken up into 7 core clerkships, and these are in the order that I'll be doing them: neurology, psychiatry, OBGYN, also known as obstetrics and gynecology, pediatrics, medicine, surgery, and primary care. Sprinkled throughout the year, we also do have shorter rotations, so these are around 1 week long, and these include the surgical subspecialties, anesthesia, emergency medicine, and ophthalmology. At the end of our 7 core rotations, we do have to take a shelf exam, and there are also internal exams or OSCEs that we do have to complete that contribute to our grade. And yes, clinical year is graded on an honors high pass fail system, which is different from what we had in preclinical, which is a pass fail system. As for me right now, I'd say that I am pretty excited to start clinical year, because this is going to be the year where we're actually interfacing with patients, with doctors, with the medical team, and actually helping to take care of patients with what we've learned over the past 1.5 years. It'll be quite different for sure from preclinical, because instead of learning from the classroom, you're learning from your patients, and you're learning from your attendings and residents, and you're learning from yourself, because you'll be studying after returning home from the hospital or the clinic, and just kind of repeating that for the entire year. I have a sense of what is expected of me, but I don't have the full picture, and I don't think it's possible to get the full picture before actually being in the shoes of the MCY students. I really love my MCY group, and I think because we're starting on the surgical subspecialties, and these are pass-fail, so the subspecialties are pass-fail, that kind of takes a little bit of the pressure off, and I think it's a good place to start easing into the hospital schedule. And starting hospital rotations can be one of the most exciting parts of medical school, because you're finally able to do the thing that you came here for, which is to take care of patients and to be part of the medical team. But it can definitely come with its own set of challenges, from long hours to facing the fact that medicine is not all glitz and glamour. That's why it's so important to have someone to talk to who can help you process what you're experiencing in an unbiased way. I'm very excited to be partnering today with BetterHelp, the sponsor of today's video, to hopefully help you unload some of that stress that you might be facing. BetterHelp is an online service with an extensive network of over 30,000 therapists who who have the flexibility of holding therapy sessions over the phone, via video call, and even via messaging at a time that works best for you. By partnering with me today, they're giving you 10% off your first month of therapy at betterhelp.com/Caroline Chen. To get started, you simply fill out a questionnaire about your needs and your preferences, and in most cases, you'll get matched with your therapist in 48 hours or less. If this sounds like something that might benefit your mental health, click the link in the description below to learn more and get started with BetterHelp at betterhelp.com/Caroline Chen. I mentioned that I was feeling pretty set and pretty okay with entering MCY as of now, but if you were to have asked me at different points over the last semester, I would have given you different answers. And I think that what has really helped me be more ready for MCY is talking to people. Talking to my advising dean and my doctoring course preceptor has really helped me to understand that I'm not expected to know everything before entering the hospital, and that it's most important to have a growth mindset and take this year to learn, because that's what clinical year is for. And talking with my classmates has also helped, because I feel like just by being open and having these conversations, we realize that everyone's basically in the same boat. We all don't know exactly what to expect, and it's really nice to have this camaraderie and kind of face these new challenges ahead together. The other thing is, I think, thinking about a potentially challenging situation or a new situation that you're not used to can be more daunting and stressful than the actual experience may turn out to be. I think it's like the waiting process and the thinking about it that leads to overthinking. And so sometimes it's nice to just give yourself a break, do something for yourself for fun, and not psych yourself out too much. And by yourself, I mean myself, because I feel like I constantly, or have a habit of overthinking things and then stressing myself out more than I need to be stressed. So that's one thing that I'm gonna work on for this new year. And now that we're switching to a graded system, I think that the best way to approach the year is to not focus on the grades, but to focus on caring for your patients. First and foremost, I'm gonna do my best by my patients and by my team, and I think the results of the effort will show. For your entire clinical year and in the hospital in general, your teachers will be your patients, your attendings, your residents, and yourself, because you will be doing your due diligence to look up all the information that you need to help take care of your patient. You're gonna read up on their charts and understand the pathology of their diseases and their symptoms. And I'm saying this to kind of share where my mind is at and share the advice that I've been given, but then also to kind of remind myself that this is the priority. Amazing. I also wanted to touch on what a day in the life of a clinical year student may look like. And I think it varies depending on your school system and your hospital system, but I shadowed in surgery and in medicine 2 students who were on MCY last year. And so now they've switched to studying for their step exams, and now our class is going into the hospital for MCY. And so when I shadowed on medicine, I basically went in to pre-shadow with my student at 7 a.m. and then rounding started at 8 a.m. So pre-rounding is when the student goes in to check in on the patients, and then rounding is when the entire team gets together to talk about the care plan for the patient. So that was 7 o'clock and 8 o'clock a.m. And then for surgery, I went in at 5:10 a.m. and I shadowed pre-rounding until 6. And then at 6 o'clock, there were walking rounds until I think 7:30-ish. So it really varies depending on what specialty you're in and what the vibes of the team are as well. This is just like a little bit of my current understanding. As for the upcoming weeks, I'm starting on urology and then orthopedic surgery and then neurosurgery. So for orthopedics, I think we're expected to be, at least from the schedule, they're from around 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. And then for urology, I think we start at around 7 or 8 a.m. each day. I'm really excited for these because I haven't shadowed in urology or ortho or neurosurgery before, and I also haven't been in an OR and haven't like scrubbed in before, so I'm excited to learn how to do that, and I think it'll be really good practice for my future surgical rotations as well, so OBGYN, surgery, etc. And I also want to share some advice from older students and from attendings and residents, and I think the main piece of advice that each of these students and doctors have given me, like throughout all of the specialties that they're in and throughout all the stages of their training, is that clinical year is the only year where we will be able to and expected to dip our toes into so many different specialties. And it's really a year of exploration, and you get a better sense of what you might potentially be interested in medicine. I think it's a really good mindset to have because it really helps you put things into perspective and appreciate the time and the space that you're given. And so when you're on neurology, treat yourself as an aspiring neurologist. And when you're on surgery, treat yourself as an aspiring surgeon. And I think from that, it'll give you the best experience. I think another super major piece of advice is to not dwell. I think that it might be just like maybe the personalities of people who go into medicine are people who care a lot and who sometimes care more than they can handle. So it's important to know yourself and to learn what is a good amount of thinking about something that is still good for you, and it's sort of like you're taking it as a learning opportunity versus thinking about something too much and it becomes a huge burden and it's really bad for you. Mistakes will be made in the hospital, especially because it's your clinical year, right? It's like your first experience to like a real life hospital environment where you are taking an active role in a medical team. And I think sometimes that puts pressure on us. Like personally, like we put pressure on ourselves to try to be perfect and to not make any mistakes. But if things happen, it's important to have a growth mindset. That was also another major theme of orientation, is to take things as a learning opportunity because that is what they are. Yeah. And it's also nice to hear how important collaboration is. It's not an independent journey. You are here with your fellow students, with your fellow members of the team, and you're all here for each other. And it's really important to remember that medicine is a team sport. I know that they emphasize that a lot in medical school interviews and in that entire process of going into medical school, but I think starting clinical year is another reminder of how important it is to work together as a group and face things as a group and grow as a group. So one of the most important things that you can be is a team player, learn how to read the room, learn how to be useful to your team. I feel like sometimes as a med student, we might feel like, or at least I sometimes feel like I'm like standing there and I don't know if what I'm doing is helpful, which is, it's another skill to develop, is reading the room and knowing when is a good time to ask questions, knowing when is a good time to step in to help to do something and volunteer. And hopefully I will get a better sense of that once I actually start in the different teams that I will be on. And another piece of advice that I got from a neurosurgeon is that because of the nature of medicine and because of how busy the hospital is, an attending or a resident or someone like a doctor that you're working with might not remember like each individual and how great they were, but the vibes of the entire team stay with them. So if you meld very well together and you're very collaborative and helpful to your teammates, then that positive energy will be in their memory. And so that's another reason why it's important to be collaborative, is to just make things more positive in general and just like keep the vibes positive and everything will be okay. Much easier said than done, I think. So to wrap up this video, I wanted to share my goals for the year. So number 1, I would love to obviously improve on my clinical skills, take a more targeted history and do a more targeted physical exam. That is going to be my main goal, is to just become a better clinician. My second goal is to continue making YouTube videos. I think that it's always really fun to make these, and it kind of feels like whenever I'm like preparing for these videos, it's kind of like I'm recording in my diary of what I'm feeling in the moment or what I've been doing. That's also a really good way to be more reflective about the whole process. And then thirdly, I would love to keep active and just find time to go to the gym. One of my friends has this goal of running a half marathon, which I think is pretty impressive, and I think that they can probably do it. And so I wanted to set something like that for myself. Number 4 is to really just gain confidence in that I am a learner, but I'm also a doer, and that I can do these things that I'm hoping to do. And then number 5, I think, is just overall be a good human to your patients, to your fellow students, to your supervisors, to just anyone in the hospital, anyone like that you interface with. And I think going in with that goal first will just make me more satisfied with what I'm doing. So right now it's almost 3:30, and that's when the guests for the transition ceremony start arriving. And I think we have to be there probably before 4, which is when the ceremony starts. So I'll head down. Thank you guys again for watching. Please let me know if you have anything that you particularly want to see. And don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video. See you guys! Excited for this year!